I finally gave this car to my sister, who at the time had no car. She also had no money, so it seemed like a good fit. She drove the car for a few months, and when the radiator overheated near National Airport, she parked it at the airport and walked away.
His next victim was a 1972 Oldsmobile Delta 88. 1972, Shirley Chisholm, the first African-American congresswoman, announces her candidacy for president. Comedian George Carlin is arrested for reciting 7 words you can never say on television. The lost ground troops withdraw from Vietnam, and Volkswagen introduces the Thing.
The Oldsmobile was a monster. Gold, as is appropriate for a pimpmobile. It was like commuting in a pleasure liner or a spaceship. It was so big, I couldn't see around it. The most astonishing thing about this car was that I bought it from a family of gypsies in Falls Church. I think that what I really wanted to buy were the electric windows that went up and down the flick of a button on the dash. The seats were electric too, and you could guide them up and down, or move yourself up, move yourself back to stretch your legs, move the seats way back. The doors had an authoritative thunk when you closed those massive things.
And it was gold, solid gold.
How I bought this car was that I needed a car. I saw a sign on a house stating that they had a car to sell, so I went up and I bought it. No bells went off in my head. It didn't seem odd or stupid thing to do. It just happened. This was the most not me car I could have owned. This was a car for a rich, overweight shaper of industry, or maybe that person's wife.
The gas bill was huge.
Everything
was huge.
I kept hitting things like other cars in parking lots. Just little fender benders and stuff like that. But my insurance company was keeping track, something that hadn't occurred to me.
Then came the crash.
The crash happened on 16th Street. It was spring, and the leaves were all out. Nikki was in the car with me. We came to an intersection where there was a red light that I didn't see because the trees covered it up, and I broadsided a car crossing the intersection. I hit that car so hard it turned around 180 degrees.
Thank God no one was hurt, but the car he hit was a real mess.
The Olds was more or less okay. But in totaling up all of the claims I put on my insurance with this car, this one crash broke the bank. And I was relegated to finding a new insurance company until I got on their good graces again. Most of my earnings at the publishing house I worked at, Poor Mouse Insurance, went to Poor Mouse Insurance each month. It was a long haul. I finally put an ad in the paper, and a dude came and bought the Oldsmobile and drove it away in a cloud of smoke.
Once again, Jim needed a car. So he bought another car from a used car lot, a baby blue 1976 Ford Fiesta, which he called the Ford Fiasco. (1976) Rideau. The U.S. vetoes a UN resolution calling for an independent Palestinian state. Apple Computer is formed by Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak. Jimmy Carter defeats Gerald Ford, becoming the first candidate from the Deep South to win the presidency since the Civil War. And Ford launches volume production of the Fiesta.
Someone at Ford must have thought the Fiesta was a good idea. Like a Volkswagen for America. It was a tin can and had the lightest brakes of any car I'd ever driven. I complained about the brakes when I took the car for a test drive off the lot and was assured that the brakes were in tip-top shape. This car was a workout for my quads and upper thighs. But it was economical, which is what I needed after the Oldsmobile. It was a four-seater, and I think you could actually seat 4 adults in it. It was a hatchback, so there was room in the back for stuff like my keyboards and my amp. I was in a band called the Acrylics at the time. It was good on gas mileage. I think I paid $700 for it, which is all that I had, and the insurance payments went down.
As time went on, the Fiasco started to show her age, mostly by rusting. First, the floor in the back seat got a small brownish hole, and then that hole grew to the extent that the riders in the back could see the road passing under them.
I was fearful that someone might fall out of the back of the car and be run over. So the back became off limits to everything except groceries. When Nikki and I married, we moved to Maryland, and I had to let go of the Fiasco. We donated it to something, and some big guys took it away. I warned them about the hole in the floor, but they didn't seem surprised. I'm sure I gave it to a good cause.
When my husband turned 40, he announced that he either needed a red sports car or a mistress. He got the car. A 1990 Plymouth Laser Turbo. That worked out better for me because I could drive it too. 1990. In South Africa, President F.W. de Klerk promises to free Nelson Mandela. The World Health Organization removes homosexuality from its list of diseases. Iraq invades Kuwait, leading to the first Gulf War. And on the first web server, Tim Berners-Lee creates the first web page.
I hit the jackpot with the Plymouth, Mitsubishi really, Laser, Eclipse really. This was a true sports car that Mitsubishi made and Plymouth marketed as a Laser, which was a car name that they already had, so I'm sure it was a good move on their part, also on Mitsubishi's part. This was a tiny car with a rocket booster. It was supposed to be a four-seater, but the back seats were for children or legless people. There was stowage in the back. It had a windshield wiper for the back window. It was ridiculously fast. I loved it.
It was red. It had a turbo. It was the love machine.
We snapped our then baby son into the tiny back seat and we took off. It had a good radio and a tape player. It had heat. It had AC. It was fast. Dudes would mumble, "Nice car," as they sauntered by the car wash on Kenilworth Avenue. Nobody had ever given me respect before because of the car I owned. This was heady stuff.
I liked it too. I had visions of taking my girlfriends to the beach in this car. The only problem was they couldn't take their legs with them.
Only last year did I donate this car to a good cause. I miss it. It was way fun to drive and never, never, never let me down. It just got old, like me.
Jim's current car is a 2009 Hyundai Elantra SE from CarMax. 2009. Barack Obama is sworn in as the 44th president, becoming the first African American to be elected as President of the United States. The Icelandic government and its banking system collapse, and Terrafugia, a Boston company, begins flight testing the Transition, a two-seater airplane that moonlights as a car. When I asked our mechanic, Vova, if we should buy a Hyundai Elantra or a Nissan Altima, Vova said, "Don't buy Altima. It's a piece of junk."